Well, hi, and welcome to my shop for the start of what I think will be quite a few sessions with my favorite personal radio that I own. No, it's not there on the bench. It's over here. It's so big, I have to wheel it on a cart through my house. I could probably carry it, but this is like a 65 or 70 pound radio here. This is my baby. Buried deep in my office or listening area, whatever you want to call it. So that baby there, that's a Hammarlund SP-600 shortwave radio, bottom of the AM band up to the bottom of the TV band, 54 megahertz. Okay, I'm going to put it on there. It's a heavy beast. Oh, probably should have put it down the regular way, but that's a good start. Comes with a mile-long power cord. Should I throw on the floor there? Okay, let's flip it down. So my objective today is to get this set up in my shop and operating, and to just run through its operation. It's an operating radio, but it's really in need of, well, it's in need of something, alignment and other things, to get its performance up to where it should be. It's loaded with its original electrolytic capacitors. I haven't changed any, as I remember, maybe the smallest ones, but all these big guys, they are all original. This is a transformer a friend of mine stuck in here in order to impedance match to a speaker, which I don't utilize this normally, but it's still in here. What else can I say about underneath here? Hard to see, but, well, maybe not hard to see. You can see some yellow capacitors here. Those are the ones I installed when I replaced all the paper capacitors. 65 of them. I did this literally 2 weeks before I started making YouTube videos. And it took a long time. Come on. Radio. Wow. Yeah. Just all 10 still there. Good. There we are. Now I'm going to plug it in right away. This is the audio out. Let's just take a look at that. So, oh my gosh, look at this. Huh. As I say, this radio has been in its place, inaccessible, for about 5 years now. This is the first time I've dragged it out. This goes to that extra audio transformer that was connected there. This is the output, but it's intended for a 600 ohm. What exactly I've done here, I can't even remember. There's a capacitor here. Don't know. You don't even know what I'm doing here. So I'm gonna get rid of it. Oh, it's loose. Everything's loose. Deciding again how I want to take the output. The thing is, that resistor looks a little burned. Jeepers, on an output from okay, phono input in case you want to play records with your military radio. Meter adjust. IF output, good for testing, I'm sure. Alternate plug here. Thought there was a diode output back here. Maybe that's in fact what. Oh. Okay, so I thought there were terminals with diode output. I must be thinking of my other great big whopper of a radio. That's a Collins R398. See the power cord here? How it's been done. This is not me. Somebody did this before me. Looks okay at a glance. Put the output tube here, which, now that I look at it, So where did I get this radio from? So that's a bit of a story. I was in college, living the poor life of a college student, and studying electronics. A friend of mine showed up and said, "Hey, down at the surplus shop, they're selling a whole bunch of these fantastic radios called SP-600s, Hammarlunds. Came down from the distant early warning line, the DEW line, way up north that Canada and the U.S. share a radar, a defensive radar line. So this radio would have been in Iraq, somewhere far up north. It's possible that it was tuned to one frequency and left there for its entire life. That's possible. I'm not saying that happened, but that's a kind of thing that happened to these radios. They might have 30 of them at a listening post or something like that. You've seen pictures of them, rack after rack after rack of these things. So it's $350 to buy it, and I'm a poor student. But for some reason back then, I seem to have more money than I do today, and I'm still curious about how that works. It seemed like I always had money to spend when I was a college student, going to movies and stuff like that. Cobbled together my dollars and ran down and bought this guy. I asked the guy in the store, "Does it work?" He said, "Well, I think so, yep." And he had about 10 of them left, and he'd sold 20 or 30 of them already. And so I bought this guy, $350, a big expense for me, and got it home. Sure enough, it worked, and it worked really well. And it's a dazzler of a radio. Oh, look how many tubes are in it. Many tubes. Tubes all through here, and all these. So this is the first RF tube. Let me even say what it is right here. It gives the type 6BA6. Then you have a mixer tube, an oscillator tube, or a isolation tube. This radio uses tubes to isolate things away, like isolate outputs from the radio. Fantastic. I'm looking at the back end of it though. Let's look at the front end. So this radio's use would have been kind of general use. In the military, it would have been probably on some airplanes. I don't think you'd find one of these in a tank. This is not that kind. It's not rugged enough for that, I don't think. Listening posts. I'll have the manual out later, and we'll take a look at it. And there's instructions on how to set this up on a mountaintop, how to use a light bulb underneath it to keep it warm so it won't get cold, how to make sure the enemy can't see it, any lights on it, things like that. So can you picture dragging this thing up to the top of a hill, maybe in Vietnam if you're an American soldier, and setting it up in some little tiny shack you slap together? Probably powered by batteries, or I don't know how they would power something like this. Put on the headphones and hope nobody knows you're listening. So basically it's a multi-band radio. The band selector's here. Turn this big knob, and you can see the band selector go up and point to the band you're on. Has a signal strength meter here. Tuning, very simple here. All gear driven by a lot of gears. Right down in here. A lot of gears. Driving, the tuning is zero backlash whatsoever. When you stop moving that dial, it stops. The wonderful thing about this, and it needs some work now to make this work really well, is the spinning of the dial. You know, isn't that great? So this is an index dial. This is not calibrated in frequency at all. So this one, we get up a little closer here. Now you can tell that there's no fine divisions here. You can't look at this and know what frequency you're on. So you'd have a book with you. You'd tune in the SPY station. You'd write the frequency here as best you could, and then over here you'd take down this number. This is 90. What is that? 91. So 90 point, not 90 point, not 91. 90.5. So very precise here. Very precise. Can't even see this dial moving. And so you keep a logbook. And too bad when the radio went to the shop to be realigned, because your logbook wouldn't mean anything after that. But that's the idea of this. So that's how they got around the problem of imprecise frequency display. So band change. These other controls are pretty simple stuff. Volume, RF gain, on-off switch. We have a modulation or CW. So if you're listening to voice, you'd have it up. This is not functioning properly. The BFO in this radio is not functioning properly. So that's something I want to attend to. This is automatic. This is AVC, automatic volume control, or on manual, however you like it. Okay, and then over here we have a limiter, okay, for cutting off sparky kind of noise. And this is a send-receive switch. This is not a transmitter in any way, but if you were using it with a transmitter, you'd want to flip this to send. And I think there's a relay and other stuff you can hook up, you know, to other equipment and that to make things a little more automatic. Some interesting, very interesting controls of this one. So we'll start with this one. This is the controls the bandwidth of the IF, I'm pretty sure. And it has 3 settings here and then 3 down here. These 3 are done with capacitors and coils to change the response. This is done with a crystal. Exactly how this works I don't know, and I have never really read up on it, to be honest with you, but somehow the crystal enables a very sharp filter, and instead of a nice smoothly curved one, you get a squarish one, a more squarish one somehow. And you can turn this thing down to the point where it's 200 hertz is the bandwidth. And yeah, it might be useful. I don't know when that's useful. That's really low. One of the signs that the radio needs work is if I'm up here on this, let's say on the wide open, lots of treble coming out, lots of noise. You tune the radio, perfect. Then I switch to tighten the bandwidth. I have to retune the radio, and that's a sign of a bad alignment right there. I really don't think this radio is performing as well as it could. It does have crystals. It has the capability of operating with crystals, and this is what this is all about. So there's a setting here for VFO, which is where it always is, variable frequency oscillator, which is this guy. But it does have the ability to have crystals. I have no crystals in the set, and I've disabled this. The tube is out, and so this whole feature I just ignore it. Oddly enough, I do have a crystal now. Could play with that at some point. This switch is just to temporarily turn this into an audio meter. You let go and it goes back to being a S meter, basically, signal strength meter. That's it. There's no more controls on here. Okay, so I'm going to tend to plugging this in, hooking up an antenna, and we'll get it going, and we'll see what we can pick up here this morning. Okay, we're almost ready to go here. Just making the antenna connection. Ground. Not very good with a clip lead here. This just has to connect any ground point, so I'm just gonna. This is kind of floppy too, isn't it? Not the best arrangement. That's better. That's best. Okay. So this is the audio output. What I'm doing here, I'm just taking it off the outside of the 600 ohm output. I'm feeding it into the input of a little microphone mixer. It's probably looking for 50,000 ohms, but I don't think there's a problem with any of that. There's a problem here. Okay. Switch is off. Power is on. Switch it on, it should come on. There we are. I'm going to have a hard time seeing this in the camera because of the lighting complications that are always here. Oh, audio. Okay, so give it a moment to warm up. I'll be listening because the audio is being fed right into the recording system here for the video. Let's see what this sounds like. Doesn't sound like anything yet. Oh gosh! No wonder they have a dirty volume control. Volume down here. So I believe what just happened is the either the protection in my power supply just operated. So this is, you know, this is a brand new thing here I'm using. So I have this plugged in here. This set to 117. The meter was at 117. It's dropped to nothing, but the red light is still on. So the way to reset is just turn it off, turn it back on. But you know what? It's just going to pop again. So we're not going to use this. Come on out of there. And because I'm very interested in how much power this radio actually draws, what I'll do is I'll use this. This will be out of sight because it's going to be down under my bench, but I'll plug it in through this, right in the wall. Well, in the wall, right in my power bar here. Wow, there's something about that ground plug. It's not coming out. Do I have enough? Thought I had everything figured out before I started the video. Then let me stop, and I got more monkey business here. Well, I'm afraid the latest piece of equipment added to my shop has been blown up already. So this guy with this pushed here, this flipped on, and this set here, this meter should be up there, like this. So again, there's a breaker in here, and there's also a fuse. I think the fuse must have popped inside there. Way to go, big radio. That was unexpected. Okay, but this time it won't pop. It's basically plugged in an outlet through that monitoring box. And I gotta stop the radio from traveling here. How am I gonna do that? Not like that. Big heavy cord. There, that'll do it. That'll keep it in place. Okay, ready? Here we go. Needs to be plugged in. Needs to be plugged into the box. There we go. Ready again? Here we go now. Hey, finally. Okay, the audio level is low. You can't hear anything from here right now. And why is that? Because I just didn't bother turning it up. Well, let's turn it up. Ooh, lots of hum there. That's me making it go left-right channel. Big hum. So the hum, still warming up a bit. The hum may be more reflective of how I've connected things in the audio, because I normally don't hear a hum out of this radio. But on the other hand, could be normally I can't hear it, but it's really there. Figure that out. We are on we're at 19 megahertz right now. The audio for this is more, like the audio response is more inclined for voice communications. So if we pick up music and things like that, it won't sound all that great on this radio. Now, as I'm tuning it, I'm very sensitive to this because I'm very familiar. I got 1,000 hours or more. I got a couple thousand hours on this radio easily. When you're tuning it, there's a sound that occurs here that shouldn't be happening. It's a crackling as I tune it. Let's see if I can find a spot. And of course now it's not going to do it. If I tune quickly, you kind of hear how it changes from the nice smooth sound to kind of a choppy deal. It shouldn't have that crunchy, choppy sound to it. And I think that's the big tuning capacitor. There's a big monstrous tuning capacitor inside this can. 4 sections, I think. 4 great big sections. And I think there's contact problems in there that need to be dealt with. So coming down now, we should be able to pick some stuff up. Coming around 15 megahertz, 50 megahertz right there. Let's see if I can get it on the camera better. No, it's just the lighting. It's got a lot of lights in it. It's going to be a little too much for the camera. For now, I'll figure that out as we go along, how to get a better image on the screen. So we'll pick up.
We are also referred to as the clipbook, meaning the rock buck in Afrikaans. Our species name is Oriatagus oriatagus. We are the only members of the genus Oriatagus, and one study says...
So this is the bandwidth control. We'll fiddle with it. You can hear the changes.
The word Oriatagus is derived from Orius, and tragus, 14 thirds. Wow, what a fascinating...
Disappeared entirely. I have to retune to find it. Dirt in the switch.
Strong and stocky. We have a short neck and a vestigial tail.
That's much easier to listen to, isn't it?
To stand on a rock or spring around on near vertical rock faces, jumping from boulder to boulder and stopping every now and then to nibble on some young, fresh grass roots, plants, fruit, leaves, or even some flowers.
It's obviously radio channel. So now we'll go down into the crystal. We'll go down the crystal settings, and you'll hear the difference again. I'll tune it in.
In spite of our dainty size, that speech is such small legs.
Now, as I tune, instead of having a nice smooth shape, it's much more of a square. The sweet spot is really sweet. So as you close in the IF, you eliminate a lot of noise because it's outside the response curve. So you get less and less noise, but at the same time you get less and less treble, and you need a certain amount of treble to understand what's being said. So there's a sweet spot in there where you can still understand clearly what's being said, but you've knocked out a lot of the noise. I think the tuning has just drifted a bit here. You see from the meter how sharp this is. Can't really see it. You can watch my hand. I'm barely moving this. We go even tighter. We're right down to the tightest, 200. Where'd he go? He's left the building. Of course, this is a setting I never use. You would use this on CW, something like that. So anyway, what I'm demonstrating is that these things, they do work. Whether they're working properly, it's hard to say. I usually have it on this setting here. Like all military radios, this thing comes with a fantastic manual, which is going to be extremely useful in checking through and finding problems that are in there. Now, I have replaced all the paper capacitors, but I replaced very few resistors. I seem to be a little slack with resistors. So one of the elements, or one of the pieces of information that's in the manual, is a resistance check with an ohmmeter down through the socket of every tube with the set turned off. And in the past, because I've repaired this set 4 or 5 times, it's failed, and I've repaired it along the way prior to changing all the capacitors. And that kind of information, fantastic for sorting your way through such a great big radio. So we've only been checking one band here. We'll try another one. Oh, what's happening there? That's my phone. There's my phone in my pocket. Shame on me. Okay, get my phone away.
Tune in on Saturday, January 16th to find out more.
That's tomorrow.
Missed your show? Watch or download it free at tv.com/download. Welcome back to our program, Clip Singer, the African Rock Jungle, on Supreme Master Television. Please allow me to describe our industry by telling subspecies and where we live. Our coats are made of horsehair.
Yeah, I was hoping they would identify themselves. I'm quite certain that's China, though. Let's see what else we can get up on here. There's that choppiness. Probably coming from Cuba, Florida. Havana, Cuba.
Sonido Cubano. Les habla Manuel Martínez Caballo, que los invita a compartir con nosotros 48 minutos.
That, by the way, would it shock you to know if you can pick up the news in English from Cuba? It's very valid news. It's just like all the regular news. Yeah, Cuban news. So here's WWV. This gives us a chance to check the accuracy of the pointer. Let me show you what's happening here.
At the tone, 15 hours, 1 minute, coordinated universal time.
Of course, my cat can't hear any of this. This is all silent in my shop here. That's quite a low meter reading for the quality of the signal. What happened? What'd you do, cat? Where'd the sound just go? Hey, what happened? Did you just do something? Are you guilty? Guilty. Yes, guilty. Okay, let me just... Where did the sound go? Right in the middle of that, right? I'm sure she's guilty. Wire came off the back. Let's start with that. Hey, wires did not come off the back. So the RF gain control here is not used when the set is set to AVC. It doesn't do anything. Just an on-off switch. Maybe this. Huh, that's what it is. Where'd the hum come from now? Is it fiddle with volumes? No, it's there anyway. There we are, back in business. Oh yeah, that's right, I was going to show you where the 15 was.
15 hours, 3 minutes, coordinated universal time.
So the pointer is designed, it's not a simple pointer, it's designed so you can spot parallax. See the width of the pointer? And so you can tell when you're lined up properly. Just like that. And so this is 15 megahertz without a doubt we're listening to. But you can see it's tuned to, what's that, 15025? 15 something. 15.025. Where'd the signal go? Come on back. Come on back. Did something else just happen? I'm not sure what happened there. Okay, so here's the tuning. Oh, it disappeared again. I guess it's just fading out. Let's go down a band. Should find some stuff down here. Nope.
Who chooses to read the obvious connection of practical, vital holiness, which is the clear intention of this warning of Scripture. It is conformity to the will of God and obedience to the Lord's command. It is, in essence, the Spirit's work in the soul, by which a man is made like God and becomes a partaker of the divine nature, being delivered from the corruption which is in the world through lust. No straining, no hacking at the text can alter it. There it stands, whether men like it or not. There are some who, for special reasons best known to themselves, do not like it. Just as no thief ever liked a policeman. Yet there it stands, and it means exactly what it says.
A little loud, sorry about that.
Without holiness, that is, a practical, personal, active, vital holiness, without it, no one will see the Lord. Dealing with this solemn assertion,
I can still tell you over and over again that the cost of food is going to go so high. Gasoline will go to $2 a gallon. Insurance rates and taxes will not be reversed. Many of you are going to find...
Is that God's financial report? Well, what's going on there? There's that sound again. It's like Cuba.
Worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived, and these are the perilous times. These are the perilous times. They are not going to come. The Apostle Paul wrote 2,000 years ago, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. Well, we have now reached that pinnacle.
Well, what we're listening to is American culture. So this is Morse code, and we should not be hearing a tone with it. It should just be pss, 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 like that. I don't have the internal modulation switch now. Yeah, and there's a little ham band just above 10 megahertz. I think. Zoom up here. So a lot of that noise is caused by the tuning of the radio. A lot of this chunk stuff. And what's actually happening is I think the radio's tuning point is jumping around a bit because of dirt in the tuning capacitor. This sounds like it's Middle Eastern.
100 kilómetros por hora en 3 segundos. Imagínense cómo va a ser la velocidad de estos vehículos en algunos modelos, por supuesto, no en todos.
South American, Cuban.
100% eléctrica.
It's Cuba. I know that. They're in two places here.
De septiembre de 21.
Oh, it's music. I can't leave music on. Teletype. European band. This is almost certainly Saudi Arabia. They spend a lot of time singing the Quran to the world. We're getting into a ham band now, a 20-meter ham band. We shouldn't be hearing, this is Morse code, a lot of people doing Morse code. We shouldn't hear this until we're up above here. Now that's what Morse code should sound like in a radio like this. I'm going to turn on the BFO here, and you see nothing happen. And this is the BFO frequency setting. Other than the squeak, nothing happened. It's amazing how dirty my cat is when you get up close to her and look at her foot. Dirt all over her. Okay. This will be all ham radio stuff, not much else. Let's go down. Could hear some stuff here. It's very quiet, isn't it? Very different. Just changing bands. But you shouldn't be. You should hear the same level of noise. Let me wiggle a few things here. Nope, that's it. You know, it's one of the rules is all good radios have paint on them somewhere. You can see the paint speckles on here, some brownish or reddish paint. I managed to sprinkle on it at some point in its life. It's too, you know, you gotta be late at night to begin stuff down here, so it's not even worth really checking. Maybe here. No. This is a frequency where Alex Jones hangs out on shortwave radio every night. And I'm not encouraging anybody to listen to Alex Jones and his nonsense. He shares a great responsibility for a lot of problems you see today. He doesn't call himself a journalist, that's for sure. He calls himself a performance artist. Do you realize that? A performance artist. Yeah, him and a whole bunch more I hope get flushed away. But he's on here loud and clear at this low frequency of 44830 or something like that every night. So there we are. We've been through the radio, more or less, and it's working here exactly the same way it works back where it was. And I think I can improve it a lot. I think I can get a lot of improvement out of this. One of the things that I notice is every time I tune something in, a lot of noise comes with it. I think that's a problem in the radio of some sort. And the hum. I'm a little disappointed to hear the hum. Oh, the last story I want to tell before I end this video is this great big transformer here. Later when I have the radio tipped up, you'll see that there's like 35 terminals underneath this thing. This is a big... Sorry about that. I whacked my microphone there. A little extra noise came out of it. So when I got this radio, I had operated for a couple of years, and then I got this really smart idea that I would change the rectifier in it to a silicon. There's a rectifiers right here. I changed it to a silicon diode. In the course of implementing this fantastic plan that I had, I destroyed the power transformer. So the radio was scrap. Power transformer, that's one of the parts. Once you blow a power transformer in a radio, it's pretty much scrap. You know, you're gonna have to get another radio and scrap that. I mean, something's getting scrapped somewhere. So, but I went to this store in Toronto on Yonge Street, an electronics part junkie store on Yonge Street, and well known at the time. This would be 1976. And went in the store, told him the story, had this transformer in my hand. He goes, "Oh yeah, I know that radio, I know that transformer. You know, I'm going to get one for you. So give me your name and your number, and when I get one, I'll phone you." And I went home thinking he's going to phone me in a couple of days or a week. I'm not kidding you. 6 months went by. I totally forgot. I'm just giving up on it. I get a phone call. "Hey, got your transformer." What? Went down, bought that transformer for, I don't know what, I don't know, $50 I think. Something like that. Brought it home, made all those connections into the radio here. Very scary. Switched the radio on. Kabingo, it's working again. So that's a bit of a story of this guy. He's been around. So anyway, the next stage in the story for this radio is to have its performance peaked up as high as I can. That's my plan. Bring it up just as high as I can. You know, I cut the volume down and it doesn't mean anything. It's going to talk about the hum. Good. Love this radio. And my cat too. Okay, well thanks a lot for watching this sort of opening volley here. I'm going to be followed by a series of videos as I work my way through this radio. Stage by stage. To voltages, everything. And we'll just work our way through it. Oh, my other cat's calling now. Bye.